That's it, boys. End of an era. Getting old. They told me I needed reading glasses. Well, I didn't need them, but it said it'd be easier. And not gonna lie, I found out this my whole life. I can read just fine, but I get tired so hard. It's like I can't get through a book in a sitting. It's always have to read like half an hour and then be done with it. And it turns out that's not normal. That's because my eyes, with my stigmatism, has to strain too hard. And then I get tired of it and move on. So they're like, yeah, try this. And I'm like, oh my God. Now I can just sit here and read for hours. And they're like, yeah, this will help you when you're reading, when you're writing. Because the same thing with writing, man. Hey, what's up? Sitting here writing the books, and every time I do it, unless I'm like caffeine to the gills, like with race towns and that, I'm like, I just can't struggle through it. And so they're like, yeah. And I'm like, oh my God. So it turns out this whole time, and then even my, like when I play video games, I went up in 2 ranks in Tekken. Yeah, so now it turns out it's not that I'm lazy. It's not that I have ADD. It's just that I was straining too much to read and I get tired easy. So it was like working out. Anyway, so now that I got these, I went with the old 1980s Clark Kents. And now that I got this, it's actually a lot easier to get through all this stuff. And I figured, why not? Girls on a flight, let's do some MidsWatches together. I have not done one of these in a while, and I haven't done a video for the channel in a while because I've been focusing on finishing Raves Perceive IQ. Oh yeah, I'll be much smarter now. Look at this guy. He's such a relationship expert. Exactly. Anyways, you know the deal. So I'm just doing 3 recordings now because it's like, what, 6:50 already? It's already at the end of the day. One on the cyclical nature of women, one on what you knew before you divorced, and one on how your actions input others. So it should be nice and quick and snappy. I will talk to you guys in a minute. Actually, I guess... yeah. Can you start off with a clip? No. We're recording stuff right now. I don't got time to mess around. Anyways, I'll see you guys in a minute. The cyclical nature of women. My brother in Christ, it's not about that. Welcome, guys. MidsWatch. Ryan, we're coming near the end. This one is a post from an old guy, the inner and outer self, about the cyclical nature of women, which, fun fact, knowing now what we did then, 7 years ago, we kind of know now there's not really a cyclical nature of women. We talk about in Practical Female Psychology for the Practical Man, girls with high self-esteem, high libido, low self-esteem, low libido. Nice little cross section. It turns out a lot of this stuff has nothing to do with the woman. It has to do with about a guy and his boundaries. So if you've read the book, you've probably already seen my stuff about boundary enforcement. So I'm just going to get straight into it. First off, going to read through his field report, then hit up Jack 10 of Hearts with his breakdown, and then some very standard red pill stuff that we had talked about afterwards and some closing thoughts. So, on the cyclical nature of women. I've been married 12 years now, almost 2 years since I found the red pill. My wife cracks me up because every month, like clockwork, she has the same argument and conversations with herself. It normally coincides with her period. Every month, she reevaluates every aspect of her life in the same way, once a month for almost 12 years. You know, she talks about her lack of friends, her lack of purpose in life, our relationship is bad in some way, we're not good enough parents, and if I should give up my business. Now, taken every month to evaluate her life is not bad, I self-reflect a lot. I try to take in what I need to improve, make a plan, and improve. But 12 years in, every month, without fail, the same conversation, no matter what's actually going on, whether it's good or it's bad. Conversations are the exact same, therefore I can assume her cyclical nature is based in some fantasy land where only women exist. So I used to engage with it, help, try and engage what she needs to improve and help, but now I realize she's just a woman. Just a woman. Every month things bubble to the surface and her body is wacky, her life's pretty dang good, so are her friendships, a job she mostly enjoys, some hobbies she pursues, kids she can raise, etc. And every month, life is a failure, like clockwork. After a few days of this, she snaps out of it, and she's fine. I have tried a million different things, from engaging her in like what you would think of as blue pill engagement stuff, now just kind of poking fun at her and letting her talk, wait it out. I've even asked, hey, is it your period today? Okay, your life's falling apart again. Got it. Sometimes that works. Now I just reschedule work travel around her period. She won't be putting out anyway. She's a mess to be around. I might as well just skip town, avoid the cycle, and preserve my sanity. So am I alone in this? Next up is Jack. So Jack looks in on this and he's like, hey, your wife sounds like she's at least a moderate amount of neuroticism and low self-esteem. And often these things manifest themselves the way you've described here. Now, this stuff she brings up, it's just anxiety driven by the neuroticism and low self-esteem. Throw in some hormonal fluctuations every month from Aunt Flo, and here you are. So these women end up in relationships with men who have codependent traits, nice guy traits. Like I'd say, it describes about 80% of the men pre-red pill on the married red pill because our eagerness to please placates that anxiety. So you act emotionally supportive, reassuring, which essentially allows her to outsource that anxiety to you instead of internally worrying about whether she looks fat in a dress. She can externally ask, do I look fat in that dress? And be confident, even subconsciously, that she'll get a torrent of reassurance on how they do not, in fact, look fat in that dress. Unfortunately, it's not good for either of you. A wife like this essentially becomes a comfort addict, and this comfort support is like methadone. So your wife never actually learns to deal with her anxiety or to build a constructive mentality that aligns with it, that she actually has a lot of reasons not to be neurotic and have high self-esteem, and the drug you're giving her, which is unconditional emotional support, even to the detriment of your boundaries, eventually loses potency over time, and this happens since your support is unconditional and it ends up being taken for granted. Just like a mother reassuring a child. Don't worry about what the other kids say. I think you're great. Yeah, well, you're my mom. I'm already taking that for granted, bitch. So eventually, your wife begins to resent you for this cycle, just like you would get annoyed at your mom for saying, I think you're great, actually not helping you at all. And you can view a lot of what the married red pill has is essentially telling you to stop the behavior that enables this cycle, because the only real solutions for people like your wife are constructive cognitive development, that her feelings of low self-esteem are irrational, and it's her neuroticism that feeds those feelings. The most direct solution is some sort of individual CBT therapy, but that's definitely not a solution, is your unconditional emotional support, which essentially acts like an endless feeding bag for that hamster. Her hamster will feed on it until it gets pissed at you for making it fat. You inconsiderate jerk, how could you dare be so emotionally supportive? So once you drop the pretense, your unconditional support was doing any sort of good for her, you can expect your wife not to be thrilled about it. Now, how that manifests will be different for everybody. The reason I say go slow and stop doing adversarial things is because the moment you're looking for your wife is essentially owning horse shit, or at least stop expecting you to own her shit for her and then getting pissed off anyway. So there's going to be a moment of catharsis, but acting adversarial towards your wife fueled with your own resentment and cynicism towards women from other red-pilled content, which will just delay the catharsis. Sure, you can rip the comfort methadone needle out of her arm and smack her upside the head with the IV bag, but it'll probably be smoother if you just dial it down over time. Your goal is to evolve your support into comfort morphine, used selectively for moments of acute pain and anxiety that she used to overcome herself before seeking your help. Now, the issue for the guy is this. He may be willing to selectively provide comfort, but his wife just seems intent to trash around in her bed, yelling, where the hell are the real opiates? Clearly, you don't want to enable that behavior by running over and looking the comfort methadone machine all over again, but it's unlikely anything material different will change unless your wife comes around to her own catharsis about the sources of her low self-esteem and neuroticism and decides to deal with them accordingly. Now, having said that, here's some red pill thoughts. Absolutely right. This is a standard definition type 2 captain, a neurotic captain and his constantly complaining passenger. The wife, I don't know if she got married young. I don't know if she went straight from boyfriend to boyfriend, has ever had some time on her own. Doesn't really matter. The point is low self-esteem, high neuroticism. Franco, David Clare talk about this very clearly in Practical Female Psychology for the Practical Man and the kind of things you can expect when dating. If you're single and run into one of these girls, generally speaking, it's not your job to save her. She's not ready for a commitment anyway, and it's best not to get there. If you keep finding yourself around these kind of girls, it's usually because you're attracted to caretaking, which Clever talks about, nice guy behaviors, the wanting to caretake or I can save her, or the feeling important by you're offering her comfort when you're doing that, emotional tampons, all that stuff. It's all the same thing. What you're essentially doing is becoming an enabler because you have the drug that the girl wants. Now, if you're in one of those relationships, the first thing you got to do is stop enabling bad behavior. I've talked about it a bunch. Don't reward good behavior, don't reward bad behavior, reward good behavior. Stuff like this, those comfort tests are enabling bad behavior. And it's hard as hell because when you get guys to unplug, most of the time, their enabler attitudes are what they think of as rewarding good behavior. And it starts a, it starts a very common cycle. Guy will do dread. Sex life is lackluster. And, lackluster sex life, starts acting more selfish, more self-involved, more attractive traits, less unattractive traits, starts getting a good sex life out of it, but his wife's more neurotic. And now they feel bad because she feels like that, and they think she's acting well. So they're like, I'm going to reward this good behavior. And then they turn into this guy again, enabling bad behavior. And they don't draw the connection that they're actually rewarding good behavior, or they think they're rewarding good behavior when they're rewarding bad behavior. And so this cycle repeats, except for each time it becomes more difficult because is this making me feel better because it's true, or is he just doing it to lie, like to manipulate me? So there's like a level of trust that disappears. Now, it sucks in the short term. Changing your behavior will always come with resistance, but essentially, in the example here, do I look fat in these jeans? You could stand to lose a few. She'll get mad, she'll get neurotic, and that's true. But once she realizes that you're not there to enable this bad behavior, she has to develop her own coping mechanisms. Now, she can see a shrink if she wants to, CBT therapy. It's not really up to me. It's up to you. Or she can just decide, let me see what I can do on this own. Sometimes girls have just never had to cope with their own emotions before, and so making her stand up for herself, put on her big girl panties, can be what it takes. I don't know. But the lesson here, stop taking ownership of her emotions. It's not your job to keep the peace. Cheers, boys. Voice is killing me. In the throat. Yeah, frog in the throat. I don't know what it was. It's a bit itchy right now. I don't understand why. It's probably because I didn't drink enough water. Either way. Don't mind me. I just got to do some quick numbering work. What is the date today? It's the 11th. So 8, 9, 10, 11. There she is. And that is number 29. I suppose I could have mentioned something about tracking the chick cycle, but I'm like, it's not really that important. Not for this one. Is that the right one? Yep. Anyways, get ready for the second one. Got it while studying for boards. Oh, you poor bastard. Start us off with a clip. Turning more into a Minecraft nerd. Oh, don't get me wrong. I'm going to have a drink after this. I was talking about it on the gaming channel. You guys, if you haven't seen it before, I do have a gaming channel, Digital Rian. If one of you guys can remember to put up a link. We just did like Stardew Valley. And I was talking a lot about my trip back home. That's why I've been away for the bit here. Mostly it's working on the book, but I also had to fly back home. My buddy's getting retired. And then it turned out all of my friends are in the same situation, well, a similar situation of what I was in 2015. So it felt nice that I could be like the ghost of Christmas future and let them know, what's in store for them. So guys swapping notes. It's the story of a Chicago jerk who gained 1 million subs off of Rolo's work. What the hell? Who's this? Wait a minute. Is that a Billy or is that a real one? I'm looking for your account. If I don't see anything cool, you're probably getting a ban. I know this is, yeah. I'm just wondering, what the heck are you talking about? We have a consistent troll on here, so I'm curious if that's you. Okay, now Sean's asking, it's off subject, off topic, but what's that signed picture you have on your shelf by the book? Oh, you mean Brian Pillman Jr.? Yeah, I got friends, man. I got friends in all kind of places. We've talked a bit back when he was still on AEW. And then just before he got signed to the WWE, he's like, dude, I got to send you something for Christmas. I'm like, yeah, sure. Just like a signed photo, whatever. We'll make it easy. And so he sent me a photo of this, and he got signed to the WWE now. So now it's like, that's my first like big time wrestler friend. It's pretty cool. It's pretty cool. Anyways, I'm wishing him the best. Plus my girl just got me a new thing of scotch. She said she used to buy me the nicest stuff. Thank you. She used to buy me the nicest stuff, but then she realized that I don't drink it. Like I got that spade up there, but it's like a small cask limited edition. So she's like, yeah, no more small cask limited editions, no more $500 no more $300 bottles. So she got me one that's more affordable. She's like, there, now I know you'll actually drink it. So that's our new thing. And I guess I'm going to get started on the next one. But the funniest thing, so my shadow box, it's in the back too, since we're talking about stuff. My buddy, I didn't know this, but the last 6 years they threw him on like 4 retirements. So like I got a decent one. It's, a couple medals, a couple badges, a couple this, that, and the other thing. And his is like twice the size of mine. I'm like, holy geez, he got 5 medals while I was gone. And he's got 2 kids under 6 while he did 4 deployments. I'm like, oh man. I'm actually kind of glad he's getting out so we can finally see his kids grow up. So that'll be nice. When I first I thought it looked like his dad. No. Oh, dude. One of these days, I'll remind you guys to get a picture of my dad. My dad is a redhead, white guy, bald, long hair, freckles, the whole works. And it was like dressed in like leisure suits and that from the 70s. So anyways, enough of that. You guys don't care about my personal life. We're here to do some work. So we're going to skip to the next one now. See you in a minute. Red Pill guy needs help. Oh my God. Is it a Batman origin story? I want to hear. I'm just kidding. MidsWatch guys, it's Ryan. Welcome. This one is from a guy who, I guess it wouldn't have been when I got here. It was a little bit after. It's another one. It's like 8 years ago. Called himself Alpha Beta 49. He was, I want to say an EMT or something like that, which is funny because to go back and see his like very first field reports and knowing after 2-3 years the kind of man he became, it's crazy to see how much just like a little bit of red pill can make all the difference in the world. And he really was good. Now, unfortunately, he's not only deleted all of his old stuff, but he's also kind of scrubbed it from the internet. So I don't have any record of what he was talking about with his initial help thing, other than bits and pieces from the quotes. So we're gonna have to piece the mystery together here as we go through. Obviously, I'm skipping his first part, like of the little bits I know, which it's the standard story. Everybody has it. Wife starts acting cranky. Some acute trauma happens. Finds his red pill out of pure desperation, and then throws his life on everybody's lap. It's called a Batman origin story, where you don't know which details are important, so you say everything, and then you throw it at somebody and you go, "What do I do about this?" And everybody does it. So it's like Batman, where every episode of Batman you have to see his parents get killed. So getting straight to it is Jax, where the guy kind of ends off his thing in the parts where he quotes here, "Don't be such a pussy that your wife starts to hate you." Which is kind of like an interesting line that he ended it off with anyway. He's like, also, don't be such an idiot that you can't even tell if your wife is starting to hate you. You're going to start doing things like going nuclear on your first shit tests when you first find this place here and intentionally fail comfort tests. Make sure these are active, conscious decisions. I can see for why a lot of the guys on Married Red Pill, especially those with codependent traits, they find it refreshing to be told, stop giving so much of a shit about whether your wife's going to be pissed off. Stop reacting from within your wife's frame. But that doesn't mean you just tune everything out and stop operating with zero intelligence and emotional empathy like an autistic retard. So when I say don't be an idiot, I mean don't be unintelligent, don't be slow-witted, don't be a moronic dipshit like this guy. You shouldn't operate within your wife's frame, but that's not contradictory to not being conscious of her actions and how they impact those around you. Do you decide to go out with your friends and your wife got upset and now she's giving you the silent treatment? Not a problem, as long as you're actively concluding this. Because if you're constantly thinking, my wife's being standoffish, is this because she's unhappy I went out with my friends? Whatever, don't give a fuck. Then you may start thinking, less fucks I give, the happier I am. And you'll eventually give so few fucks that not only will you not give a fuck when she's giving you the silent treatment, but you won't give a fuck when she gradually starts documenting a pattern of dangerous outbursts and abusive behavior because you're now giving so few fucks that you're not even noticing what's happening. So I would just say, if you're going to decide you don't give a fuck, or at least give one fuck first. Give enough of one to decide that you're not going to after that. That pretty much is all it takes to avoid a situation like this, because the one single fucks will ensure that, for example, you've fallen into a pattern of never giving a fuck about your marriage and your wife, and maybe the best thing to do is just terminate everything on your terms, and maybe you'll actually decide not to do that for whatever reasons you may have. As long as it's what you want, it's valid. But this is what I mean by intellectual mindfulness. All of our actions have consequence, and that one single fuck will ensure that those consequences rarely, if ever, catch you off guard. I say all this because I really doubt Your soon-to-be ex-wife is some sort of sociopathic femme fatale who plotted all of this crap with you with zero indication. Oh yeah, spicy, huh? Makes you wonder, what is in that report? And I say this because the aggrieved op here is a fucking idiot. How the hell do you think it was a good idea to show up at your hearing without counsel? Go to any divorce lawyer and say, I need a lawyer, but I can't pay you because my wife withdrew our assets from our joint accounts. And they'll ask you to come up with something like $1,000 retainer. And as long as you do that, and you know, I get it, $1,000 doesn't grow on trees, but if there's ever a time to take a cash advance or a payday loan, well, this is it. Then you have a legal representation and a lawyer who will argue that your soon-to-be ex is withholding joint assets, and the judge will tell her to knock it off because neither you or her actually have any money, in which case you're broke enough now to probably be able to get assistance from legal aid clinics, local law schools, or a referral from your local bar association from firms that may do pro bono work. I mean, you've been posting on the Red Pill, you've been posting on men's rights, but nothing for legal advice? Look, every guy here is free to decide how they want to make their bed and lay in it. And if you want to poop in the bed after you eat a whole wheel of cheese, that's up to you. I won't judge, and even if I did, you shouldn't care. But I also won't donate to your PayPal account. So I know the guy, and I know the situation, and it's so funny because I vaguely remember this initial thing. Like, yeah, we kind of got the hints there that he went to court with the woe is me speech. There's a lot of unforced errors he made in there. Like, again, if you're going to go to court, not get a lawyer, then you can't expect things to go well. The wife's pulling joint accounts. But we have strategies for that. We've long since, and this is actually kind of one of the precursors to get us to go that direction. There is, and it's going to be in the upcoming book, Maintaining Control of the Treasury for Men, how to handle joint assets versus your assets versus hers. Generally speaking, you just put your money in your account, her money in her account, and then you create a joint account for the marital assets. And anything in there, you have to assume as a gift, because during a divorce, one person can take it and everything is gone. So it's just a basic matter of risk management. As soon as your relationship goes bad, you have to assume this stuff's going to happen. On top of that, ways to talk about legal advice and legal strategy, but that's kind of beside the point. When he was dealing with his marriage here, a lot of the times it becomes adversarial. You know, teach that bitch a lesson, hold that bitch accountable. And I get it. It feels good. When the military screwed me over, nothing made me happier than jabbing it to him every chance I got. But it doesn't help. And in the cases of a marriage, now this one's obviously, it was too far gone. He ended up getting divorced, met a new girl, super young, hot, tighter, you know the deal. But in a general marriage situation where things are adversarial like this, you got to think, how many times are you sabotaging your ultimate happiness and success in order to teach that bitch a lesson? I'll give you a good example and we'll end on there. A lot of guys will be in a dead marriage. No sex, whatever. They start working out, becoming more attractive, dressing better, being more flirtatious, being more charismatic. Maybe the wife sees one of her friends is flirting with you at the thing. Maybe she notices you're getting attractive. She feels insecure, whatever. Starts trying to sleep with you more, being more sexually assertive. Now, as a guy, he shuts her down because now you know what it feels like to shut me down. He literally started with the intent of having more sex in his marriage. Once he started getting more sex in his marriage, decided to throw that all away because of some ego telling him, you need to teach that bitch a lesson. It's like, you have to stop worrying about recompense like that and just focus on getting what you want. She wasn't doing it. You changed your behavior. Now she is doing it, and be happy with that. If you're worried about teaching that bitch a lesson, sexual aggression won't hurt. Take it out on the pillow, sir. So I hope you guys can learn from that. Even if there is only half of a story here, the whole story is kind of here. But I'll catch you guys on the next one. I'll be with you guys 1 minute. 1011, 1900. This is episode 28. Excellent. All right. Doug Chisholm. Oh my God. $49.99 super chat. That is what I'm talking about. There is a heartfelt free super chat in here, and it's from Doug. And what can I say? I love the man. Saw you on, had time to listen, life is great, and thanks for all you do and doing great. Men listen to him and understand. Red pill concepts are applicable to all aspects of your life. Oh yeah, dude. He's one of my success stories. Although I can't take credit because I mean all I did was run my mouth and read some books. All the hard work was Doug, so he actually gets more of a kudos than me. Are those the anti-blue light glasses for pro gamers? No, I'm not getting those blue light ones. My girl told me about those, and everybody seems to like them, but I don't like the idea of having a blue tint on them every time I look around. I just want normal. So the guy's like, are you sure the new one? I'm like, no. They aren't anything special. None of that trifocal techno. I'm like, none of the extra add-ons technology. Just give me, and I guess they have, like, the bottom half is for right here, and the top half is for right there. And that's good enough for me. I don't need high-tech stuff. I did ask them, though, like, can you remove the glare as much as possible? They're like, this is the best that glass can remove the glare. It's not quite as cool as, like, restaurant quality or museum quality glass, but it's the best you can get. Rolo, when I go to Vegas, I'm going to track down your 40K hangout. Bring my army. Just kidding. I only play Bud Bowl. Wait, is Rolo in here? Oh, he is too. I'm Ryan's dad. Hey, what's up, brother? It's good to see you. Haven't talked to that man in a while either, so it'll be good. Tempo by Venkatesh Rao. Excellent book. Thanks for adding it to your further reading book list. Yeah, it's not red pill, but it's damned useful. And Brittany has it. Yeah, cutting off your nose to spite your face. Liberal survivalist. Hey, it's Ryan. What's good? Not much. I'm just sitting here in the pro-Palestinian Mecca, in one of the largest Jewish towns ever, with Palestinians and Jews on the streets, and they're fighting with each other, and I'm just like, I'm gonna go flirt with my wife. Archwinger was right on the money. Look how unhappy Ryan is. Oh, wait a minute here. Yeah, it's good to see you, Billy. All right, those are progressive glasses. That's what I meant. Oh, okay. No, my glasses aren't progressive. They're conservative. I like how you guys calling me good dad. Relax, man. All it takes is a faux hawk, and switch these out for mirror lenses. I did get some sunglasses though, so I have Club Masters. So we'll see. Missed you last week. Glad you're back. Yeah, we should be good. My buddy and I are probably going to head back to the island for another retirement at the end of the year, but I think that's it for travel this year if I'm lucky. Unless we have a red pill thing or Rolo has a thing scheduled, so we'll have to see. Anyways, I'm just going to do one more here. I should be on the sidewalk with the Labatt Blue and cheering on the fight. Not a side, just a fight. I'm actually kind of tempted. Like, I don't care about the conflict and all that stuff. Other than like the 9/11 lessons, nobody seems to have learned about media propaganda, but whatever. But part of me wants to go there, because I'll tell you guys a quick story before we get started again. During COVID, during the lockdowns, when they were, and here's worse in the world was Ontario. Actually, I guess Australia might have been worse, but that's it. Anyways, from as far down as Lakeshore Boulevard and all the way up to Queen Street, which is like about a good 2 miles, it was 10,000 people protesting every weekend for about 6 months during the first year of the pandemic. They literally walked by the CBC headquarters, our national broadcaster, didn't see a peep from it on the news. And it was like loud enough that you couldn't even drive your car out of town. It was more impressive than seeing a Jays game every day, like with that level of traffic. Nothing. And then I remember somewhere in the middle, it was like after the third or fourth one, there was a pro-Palestine protest. Maybe 12 people with, flags that were just untaken out of the package. So they still had all the lines in them and that. And they were sitting there on a podium by the thing right beside the CB headquarters doing their little protest. I saw 12 media trucks blocking traffic. There was more media than there was Palestinians there. They were all pulled in really tight, so all 12 of them filled the scene. It was like watching Hillary Clinton on a rally. And then I saw that on the news. Oh my God, Palestinian this and that. And there was just like a major news thing. And I was just going, fuck you guys. And ever since then, I have been so... I thought I was distrustful of media before, but watching it with my own eyes. And it's the second time, because the other time was my deployment. 2007, 2008-ish, around there. And we were looking for pirates over the African coast, the East Coast, by Somalia. We never seemed to find anything until a reporter came on board. Then all of a sudden, oh, there's one on the radar. And then we go fuck with a fisherman for a couple weeks, and one of the guys peed on his deck, whatever. Long story. Anyways, there was this one time where a cruise ship was calling for a mayday They were getting attacked by pirates. They were fishtailing, trying to avoid them, hitting them with the fire hoses, the whole works. And by maritime law, if you respond to a mayday, you're obliged to go after it. You're committed. And the captain was so excited because he's like, I've been wanting to see action my entire career. Now's the chance. Take that thing. And everybody, and the XO's like, sir. He's like, shut up. Just do it. So we find out we're 300 nautical miles away. And the Canadian frigates can do 30 miles max at 30 nautical miles an hour. Do the math. So we were just like, all right, all steam ahead. All the engines are on. We're burning fuel by the cubic meter. Like it's basically floor it. And then we had a helicopter on board. We had to gut it, take everything out of it, but like a guy with a C6. One guy, pilot, C6. That's it. And it had to fly out there on just enough fuel to make it out there and halfway back in order to be fast enough to make it in like a decent amount of time. Anyways, before it got there, the cruise ship scared them off. You know, they thought it wasn't worth the pressure, whatever. Now we had to race because the helicopter had to come back. And if we didn't meet it in the rendezvous point in time, it was going to fall into the ocean with the people. And then it turns into a man overboard. It was a clusterfuck, start to finish. So about a week later, CNN, go figure, puts out a news story about how the Canadian Navy saved a cruise ship from those evil terrorists. And I was like, what the fuck? I wish I was on that deployment. They made it sound like we were Jack Bauer and we were riding out there. I think there was a cowboy hat on top of the ship, and we were doing like warp speed on the Millennium Falcon. I'm like, this trip sounds awesome. So yeah, so now that I see all this new stuff, the only reason I want to go there is to like point out, look at this ridiculousness. This is what you all are freaking out about. Yeah. So we're all in agreement that Ryan is Zoro and Rob is Iroh. Like Zoro, or is that one of them anime Zoros? That's funny. So funny to me that pirates are still a problem in modern times. So they have peg legs and eye patches? No, they have GPS and a black market. They actually have like a stock market where people can invest on specific pirate runs. And then when they get their loot or they pay the ransom out of insurance and that everybody gets paid. It's like it's become a business. It's pretty impressive. But that's neither here nor there. Anyways, I was in Guantanamo Bay babysitting detainees and had my experience with the media and what and how they report. They may not lie, but they also not in it for the truth. Oh, yeah, dude. I mean, they lie. Ultimately, when you walk away from what they've written, you walk away with a false pretense. So I don't care what justification they have to do. It's a lie. Yeah, between the pirate hunting and the bad sense of direction, it fits so well. Well, that's the beauty of the military and the Navy, man. There's no landmarks. The sea is flat, so everybody has the same crappy direction sense. I'm pretty good with charts. Hello, sir. Anyways, enough of the chit-chat. I'm going to get the last one done. Then I'm going to go have a beer and some dinner and play with my dogs. Because I like you guys, just not that much. All right, there we go. So here it is. There's the big one. What do you wish you knew before your divorce? Welcome, guys. It's Ryan on the MidsWatch. We're coming near the end. You know the deal. This one is nice because it's kind of like, it's got some generic to it because a lot of guys are very worried about divorce to the point that they're actually willing to sabotage their own, their own well-being. So it's good that we kind of got into this little conversation and guys sharing their experience, but at the same time, dispel a lot of the myths and rumors that you're hearing from the Longhouse. I'll just start it off. So it's like Cool Beans, number 24. He's like, I've been married 13 years, 2 kids. They're 12 and 13. Me and my girl met in college, finished my bachelor. She's got an associate's degree. She's always worked part-time jobs, refused to go back to school. So as a result, I'm working 2 jobs, started 2 small businesses to compensate for her laziness. Paid off the debt, except for the house. I only owe another $100,000 and it's worth $150,000. We got $10,000 in emergency funds, $15,000 in our retirement. I make $70,000 a year. She's making $25,000 until she screwed her boss's granddaughter over and got fired. She didn't work at all last year, but just got a $22 or $22,000 a year job a week ago. I didn't divorce her a year ago because I just bought a house and I wasn't ready. Now she's working and I have my head on properly. I started tackling how much time I spend with the boys compared to her. I'm basically the primary caregiver and the primary breadwinner. Basically, the woman's a dud. Here's the problem. I live in Illinois, and the calculators I've found online will still owe her about $1,000 a month for 6 years and $1,100 in alimony for another 8. Basically, I think I'll be punished 3 times over for being productive. I worked 7 days a week for months, rarely taking a day off, and I fear she'll get the kids because of this, and I'll be expected to continue the same level of output after the divorce as I put in before the divorce. So she'll basically be double dipping on me in a way that I'm enslaved to her, and soon I may be working 7 days a week alone and unable to be my dad or for my kids and what they deserve. So how did your alimony work out? Is it negotiable? Can I get the kids 50-50? Give me your thoughts. I'm outgunned, and I'm a fear I'm about to get divorce raped and then shackled. Jack chimes in. I got some good things for you after this one too. Jack chimes in. Hey, divorce guy here. So I Googled Illinois divorce law, and this makes no sense. Apparently, Illinois standardized alimony calculations in 2015, and here's the example I saw. Okay, so assume an ex-husband grosses $50K a year, the wife earns $30,000. Therefore, the husband only owes the wife $2,000 per year under the formula. For example, marriage lasted 5 years. The maintenance award would continue for 20% of that span for 1 year. And he has a link to it. You can go check it out if you want. And if I remember, I will put a link to this in the description if you're in the Illinois area and you hate your bitch ex-wife. So yeah, that's child support, except for in the same link. Covington noted that the law makes the following changes in addition. Specifies that judges must subtract maintenance payments from the payer's income for the purposes of calculating child support. So whatever you have to pay in alimony, you'll have to pay her proportionally less in child support anyway. But who knows? I'm not a lawyer. I'm just some ass that spent 30 seconds reading a web page that came when I Googled up Illinois divorce law alimony. I'm copy pasting all of that and saying, take a breath, calm down. Financially, your divorce will be an enema, not an ass rape. Ugly, uncomfortable, unpleasant, something you wish you didn't have to go through and wish you can get over with as quickly as possible, but unlikely to financially scar you permanently. And afterwards, you're going to feel a lot better. It's just money, dude. You seem responsible, and it sounds like you've really grinded at your professional life to get where you are. You should absolutely get the best financial and custodial outcome for yourself. But I am just saying, this will be an annoyance over the long run, and you'll be probably alternatively seized with anxiety or resentment. Take a breath, keep calm, talk to your lawyer, and remember, it's just money, dude. You made it before, you can make it again. Yes, if you get better custody, showing that you can supervise, have arguments and arrangements for supervision, daycare, parents, whatever, you'll get 50% custody most likely. It's not the 1970s. Judges don't care about vaginas. Men typically get less custody on average because they can't actually make arrangements to supervise their kids for the custody. They don't actually want much custody. My son lives with me when he's off from school in the summer, lives with mom during the school year, etc. They're beta losers who let their ex-wives guilt trip them into a bullshit agreement, or they disputed their separation agreement all the way to a court hearing, but the guy did not get appropriate legal counsel and the judge ruled on his wife's proposed agreement by default. Seriously, you will not get fucked if you don't let yourself get fucked. Remember that. He's like, I get it. I get what you're trying to do. Trying to avoid you and your wife hiring lawyers that will encourage you to endlessly litigate your assets to zero, but based on general negotiation theory, that's not a good idea. Submitting something for mediation means you're going to have to pre-compromise. Submitting something with compromises in it that you've anticipated but may not be required, so you'll be negotiating against yourself first, then negotiating in mediation. My ex-wife and I retained our own lawyers, which cost more in the short run, but actually resulted in a cleaner arrangement. In my opinion, you'll see her proposal and she'll see yours and you'll both go, yeah, no way. And then start horse trading. Shit like who gets to declare the kids as a tax deduction, for example. And the guy's asking, can I trade assets to avoid alimony? And this seems like something you're eager to do. She may in turn be eager for that trade. Women are short-sighted that way, so taking money now is better than more money in the future. You may also seem eager to reduce reoccurring payments, so in other words, you could offer that. Equity in the house in return for something that reduces your payments. If you go to mediation, this negotiation may not happen. You may have stupidly pre-compromised that you'll split the equity in the house. And since that sounds cosmetically fair, any more negative or creative negotiation opportunities are lost. Negotiations aren't necessarily zero-sum. If I have a $20 gift card to Starbucks and I hate coffee, and you have $15 in cash, we can trade and we both won, right? I valued cash, you valued Starbucks, you both come up with your own separation proposals, bring those opportunities to the forefront because it'll make you both think about what you actually want versus what you're okay with letting up. So if you communicate with your lawyers in an organized and consistent manner, then you won't end up with huge legal bills, and seriously, it's not that much money at stake, and any lawyer is going to try to psychologically manipulate you to drive out more legal bills? Probably not. They just want this streamlined as much as you do because they can get a new client in the time that they're not fiddling with you over an extra $100 here and there. So again, not a lawyer, not legal advice, but this is the most moderate opinion you'll get in any subreddit about divorce, which means on the long term, log off Reddit, focus on getting your legal advice, and stop whining about the legal system, flavoring women, and all that MRA bullshit. Remember, you will not get yourself fucked if you don't let yourself get fucked. If you only want a 30-second enema instead of a 10-year-long prison ass raping, then that's within your control, so get off Reddit, don't get fucked, and best of luck. Now, since then, we have come leaps and bounds within the red pill space. We actually have a Better Beta's divorce guide, which goes over a lot of, it's not legal advice, it's legal strategy. And the idea, like little things. For example, when you go to your lawyer, don't just dump your marriage on his lap and say, what do I get? Because he'll just give you whatever the statute says. You show him, I want this, I want this, I want this. Now, what do I have to do to be most likely to get there? And then you guys work on a strategy together. And then once he's told you like what's reasonable, what's unreasonable, and what is reasonable, but you'll have to make changes, that's when you decide what you really want. And I'll give you a great example. One of my first clients, when I was still doing the consulting, he was talking about divorce, and he just assumed, because, you know, all men are supposed to love their kids, I should be fighting for custody, right? And he wanted to debate this big legal battle. He's like, all right, this, that, and the other thing. And I knew he was military, so I already know, flat out. I'll tell you right now, sir, the judge will say, while you're in the military, you have if you're employable, you're deployable. So at any point you could be deployed, which means the courts will not give you custody at all. So you have to make a choice right now. If you want custody, you're going to have to leave the military. And he was a surgeon, I believe. Just got to lieutenant commanders, doing very well for himself. I'm like, you have to make a choice. Do you want your career or do you want custody? And I explained how most of your relationship with your kids is as they're adults. Being 100% dad 50% of the time is better than a 50% dad 100% of the time. If you leave the military, will you end up presenting your kids for that sacrifice? Like all these things. And I'm like, look, I have no judgment. I don't care what your decision is, but I'm going to make you stick to it. And then he's like, you know what? I've worked 20 years to get where I am. I'm going to stick with the career. And I'm like, that's fine. So here's the great thing. Now you can just negotiate with that. Your wife wants custody. That's fine. And she had a new boyfriend now, the guy she had slept around with. So that's fine. So you make a trade-off. You know, you could take custody, no child support, you know, all the things. And he basically negotiated all of these things that most guys don't get in a divorce because he had that thing in his shoulder anyway. Girls always want that full custody. And all he wanted was like full visitation, you know, help with college and that, but no spousal support. And she had a new boyfriend. She was great. So he gave up the thing that he wasn't willing to have anyway for the thing that she wanted. And he got exactly what he wanted out of it otherwise. But he had to know what he wanted. He had to know how to get there. And he had to be a little Machiavellian. So from the red pill, it's actually kind of nice. This is why I like this space more than like the men's rights guys or the MGTOW guys or, you know, all these other goofballs out there, because they're just doom and gloom. Meanwhile, in the red pill, it's all about finding a path to success, navigating the environment. And in at least 2 cases now, this guy and my guy absolutely thrived. And I think the last time I talked to the guy, it was funny because he had wanted to get his new place. He's got, I'm going to buy a condo right by the bars, downtown, bachelor pad, absolutely great, and an extra bedroom for my kid. And you know what the funniest part was? Without custody, the kid still came to visit him all the time. So even without legal custody, he still got to see his daughter whenever. It's never as bad as you think. It can actually sometimes be a lot better. But I'll catch you guys on the next one. Cheers. There you go. Yeah, dude. All right, I gotta have to stop now. My voice is killing me. I'm hungry as hell. Aside from the time he fought his stepdad, I don't think Ryan is like Zuko. Yeah, a lot of guys do. Well, I mean, I didn't fight him. He fought me. But yeah, it was the standing up to him part. But I used to think like nothing was very special about me. But the more I'm talking to you guys, the more I'm realizing I was, even as a millennial, I was, I don't know what word to use there. What adjective? Definitely unordinarily exposed to a very older class of childhood. Yeah, which it was helpful. It was helpful. Always offer the house. Women don't know how much upkeep costs. Well, I'm not going to give you always or whatever, but it's at least something you have to consider, right? Morning peoples of the palace. Hey, what's up, bucket on head? All this paperwork for marriage just sound annoying. Well, Michael, that's not just, I mean, marriage is a good example of it, but there was paperwork for everything. The military, I've got just from my archives, I've got paperwork that fits about this much of a stack. Mortgage stuff, another stack. Adults just get paperwork, and marriage is just one more out of all of them because it's a legal status. Same as house, same as military, same as finances, everything. Life's just paperwork. And if you're good at it, it's a pain, but it's definitely easier. And then as you get older and get more money, you start paying other people to do it. But you kind of have to do it first by yourself so you can tell if they're doing a good job or not. Because the last thing you want is to have your accountant screw you over because you didn't pay attention to what he was doing. So yeah. Ryan's not flashy, but he will go bad if you do. I am a little flashy. You got to admit, when I'm putting on my Arizona sunglasses and my Arizona iced tea hat along with a Hawaiian shirt and wooden beads, yellow sunglasses, bitching about whammon, it's a little flashy. But he will go to bat for you if you do the work. Yeah, I mean, I have in the past. And my students have gone to work for bat for me, but that's a different story for another time. So we'll do the super chats here, and then I'm going to call it. So no link, $9.99 super chat. Thank you very much. Can you explain how this also applies to guys in LTRs without all the kids and stuff? Because the TRP Reddit and MRP, is there a gray area? No, there's not. So first off, I have a feeling if I ask you how long your relationship is, you're going to say a couple months. Here's the I'll answer your question with a quick story. So the red pill was mostly about fuck it. If she fucks around, she can find out, you leave, right? Done. Relationship's over. Fine. You should. Absolutely. Dating is about giving a girl any reason to let you bounce her ass off the end of the street. And for her taking it, give her enough rope to hang herself with. The married red pill guys, there was a guy who was named a Solos, and he's like, yeah, this is great advice, but if I'm married with 3 kids, surely there's got to be another thing I can do other than bounce this chick on her ass, lose my kids, lose my alimony, and pay all this stuff, right? So the entire married red pill was a space designed for that one specific question. What do I do in a relationship with a girl before I have to bounce her ass when I actually have commitments and it's going to cost me? And that's where it all came from. But ultimately, if you're in a relationship where there's no house that you have to split, there's no kids, there's no marriage certificate and stuff you got to break, yeah, bounce her on her ass. Absolutely. Now, I'll preface that with it. Sometimes it's good, even if you have a dud woman with you, use her as a sparring partner because you're most likely got some problems of your own. Most likely codependent, most likely validation seeking, most likely a lot of nice guy behaviors, probably in bad shape, whatever. Take 6 months. You have a walking, talking shit test of a sparring partner in front of you. Build yourself into the kind of man who could replace her and bounce her on her ass and get another girl in there that week. Then you make the decision. Once you're that guy, who stays in my life and who goes? And the funny thing that most people notice is that once you start drifting ahead of your woman, they are amazingly good at seeing the writing on the wall and stepping up. And if she doesn't, whatever. The plan was always to replace her and be ready for it, right? And that's generally speaking what dread is. Learning, teaching yourself not to be taken for granted and learning to be able to let go of low value people in your life. And so that's really the difference. So yeah, if you're in an LTR, you don't even live together, absolutely bounce her. If you want to, you can give the courtesy of a phone call, but yeah. Because like, do you think it's going to get better? It's not. If a relationship is hard now, it's not going to get easier later. You shouldn't have to work on it. They're not supposed to be difficult. They're supposed to be easy. Girls are supposed to invest. And if they're not invested, you're either unworthy of investment or she's incapable of investment. So work on what you can fix there, which is your half. And then with her half, well, actions have consequences, right? Yeah. Cheers, Ryan. Thanks for enjoying everything. No worries, Doug. In 2.5 years, I'm single now. I got the whole, I don't know how to keep you. Yeah. But that's it. So ultimately, and a lot of guys think there's this rift between the married red pill and the red pill. There's really not. There's really not. I guess I don't have to read right now. There's really not. It's all the same stuff. The only difference is a person is your demographic. Are you a young single guy or an old married guy or somewhere in between? And you just take the information and apply it to your specific situation. That's all you can do. So yeah. Anyways, enjoy. Guys, have fun. I'm gonna have a Sapporo. No more actually, I might put on the reading glasses because you know if I want to play a game tonight or watch a movie, it might be kind of fun. It's the place to be for taking it seriously. Yeah, and I could talk for hours about the way certain online communities have kind of designed and the outcomes of their readership because of it, especially the red pill and the married red pill. Reddit is a fascinating experiment in social organization and how technological changes and policy decisions at the top levels can extremely change the vibe of a place. So it's pretty cool. Yeah, no worries, Link. I'm glad it helped anyway. So I'll catch you guys in the next one, man. Have fun. I guess what's tomorrow? Thursday? I got to put up, I'll put up the Patreon and we'll talk to you guys in there. And then I think the next thing on the go for Friday is the T-Rex Army stuff. Yeah. All right. Later, boys.